Function First, creator of the Pain Free Movement Specialist and inventor of Cortex. I've got a new corrective exercise for you today that also will help to communicate a principle. And that principle is that there are certain exercises that we'll describe as self-regulating, which means that the force that can be generated by the individual as they complete the exercise or perform the exercise is limited by how much they can resist or decelerate in some cases. But this is going to be what we call an isometric, quasi-isometric exercises, which is similar to what we do in other corrective exercises, that there's going to be very little motion initially, but part of what happens is how through the motor system, how we're able to recruit and facilitate an upregulation of motor unit recruitment to better facilitate those individual muscle groups when we move into more dynamic exercises as we ascend our program. So we call this one the kneeling Aztec. Don't ask me why, other than the fact that the first person I ever gave it to was a San Diego State Aztec. That's why we gave it to him. But what we're going to do is use the wall here and the floor. And this can be done anywhere, obviously, because that's all it takes. We're going to do it in bare feet, and what we're going to do is we're going to describe a little bit of what's happening from the foot all the way up through the body so you have a better understanding of it. So the first thing you'll notice is what I'm doing is I have the pads of the toes on the floor. This is important. Again, better done in bare feet or stocking feet and not shoes. Also that my heels are lined up directly behind my knees and not rotating in or out, because what I want is to put the maximum tension through the plantar fascia. So in this position alone, what I'm doing is I'm getting to mobilize my toes into extension, in particular the first ray, also being able to generate some compliance through the tissue on the bottom of my foot. Additionally, that also gives me added friction for what I want to do next. My knees are only about 6 to 8 inches from the wall, and I am stacked vertically like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hands on the wall almost like a push-up, so roughly chest level and a little bit wider than the shoulders. So the exercise, as I perform the exercise, you're actually not going to see anything going on. The only way you would know is if you were palpating certain areas of my body. So with the pads of my toes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push into the floor as if I'm trying to thrust myself into the wall. Fortunately for me and my face, I have my hands that are here to resist that. So as I push here, I will resist with equal force here and then let go. Okay. So as I'm doing that, optimally when you're seeing this on a client is you don't see a lot of movement because I am matching the same exact force into the wall that I'm getting from the ground, and therefore my lower body in theory would want to continue forward if my upper body then wants to go back. And what we have is this matching of forces, which obviously creates a great deal of stability and facilitation on the front and the back side of the body. So I'm going to be actually switching on a whole lot of things here. So as I press and release all the way through the chest and the shoulders, that's being used obviously, but more importantly, it's resisting this going forward. So this can't happen if I create a stiffening through here as I do that. Now, being big fans of variability and how we can also impact the torque on the body, I can actually play with my handprint on the wall as well. So if I'm offset my hands like this and do it, it actually creates a diagonal force that's different than if it's more symmetrical this way, and obviously I can do this at the same time. So what we get is a way of getting after the core for some people without having them think about doing crunches or planks in ways that they may feel potentially threatened or in ways that they actually can't execute very well. But equally important, what it does is it tells the body how to turn that stabilizing system on and off. Keep in mind that sometimes we have with our clients, especially with low back pain, is that their challenge is the inability to not be hypervigilant and have all that excess tone through their lower back and being able to relax that as necessary. So if we phase them in and out of it, say versus holding a static plank for 30 minutes, which in some people could actually be contraindicated with back pain, we get the idea of turning it on, really upregulating as many motor units in that motor unit pool that we can, then letting it off and going back and forth again. And again, minimizing the motion. There shouldn't be any motion going on there, but there's plenty of muscular activity. So from the bottom of the feet, up through the hips, into the core, into the spinal erectors, part of the core back there, and obviously a little bit of shoulder stabilization. A lot of ways we can tick a bunch of boxes there that are non-threatening, especially to the person with low back pain, that is going to make them feel accomplished, strong, and that they're able to sort of cue and stabilize through that part of the body that very often obviously is painful and limiting to them. Leave your comments below if you have anything to ask or say, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.